30-year forward for the Orlando Magic, Paolo Banchero put together not only one of the greatest individual performances you will ever see in franchise history, he put together one of the greatest performances you will ever see in NBA history. What was supposed to be your average Monday night, first week of the season, watching two competitive Eastern Conference teams in the Indiana Pacers and Orlando Magic go off head-to-head at the Kia Center, turned into one of the most memorable and historic nights in franchise history, as Paolo Banchero recorded a near 50-point triple-double, wheeling the Orlando Magic to a 119-115 victory over the Indiana Pacers. We're going to talk about this in depth. I am still mesmerized and in awe of what I witnessed last night in person, covering the team, being there for that moment, feeling the electric atmosphere, and getting to be a part of such a special night for Paolo Banchero, this young Orlando Magic team, and what this means for the NBA community, knowing that Orlando has a superstar on the rise, and he is here. Paolo Banchero. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about that here today. Now, Magic fans, before we actually dive deep into today's video talking about Paolo Banchero, if you guys appreciate all of the work and coverage that I do with Orlando Magic HQ, make sure you guys go ahead and drop me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe bell to stay tuned for more Magic content that we do here on YouTube. And of course, make sure that you guys also go ahead and follow me, Brett James, and Orlando Magic HQ, especially on Twitter. It's the best way to stay updated about news and information about the team as quickly and timely as possible. And lastly, Magic fans, the best way to support everything that we're doing here on Orlando Magic HQ is to go become a member of our Patreon. I will go ahead and put a link to it in the description down below. That way you guys can get exclusive articles, videos, podcasts, and it's the best way to help support us and what we're doing here at Orlando Magic HQ. But let me stop yapping and let's actually go ahead and talk about the man of the hour, Paolo Banchero. Now let's get things started off with last night. The Magic came into this performance after a devastating loss in Memphis. Orlando wanted to come back home to Central Florida, grab a win over a very good and talented Indiana Pacers team who is now 1-3 on the season. But Orlando wanted to build that momentum, go to 3-1 before they take flight for this 5-game road trip, which is going to begin October 30th in Chicago. And Orlando did just that. Jalen Suggs, Paolo Banchero came out the gates absolutely firing on all cylinders, combining for 31 points in that first quarter of play. They shot 4 of 6 from behind the arc, and Jalen Suggs was a perfect 4 of 4 from behind the arc. But what was so impressive about this, it wasn't just the fact that Paolo was scoring, it was the way in which he was scoring. His level of aggression, the way that he came out of the gates clearly dialed in, the way he was able to get downhill, move guys out of the way, and get whatever he wanted, however he wanted, whenever he wanted. That is what great players do. No matter the defensive coverage, no matter what people are trying to throw at you, you can go out there, you can read the defense, and you can make the right plays. He was playing bully ball, he was facilitating, he was grabbing rebounds, he played exceptional defense, and he came out of the gates firing on all cylinders. And Paolo Banchero was nothing short of sensational, especially in that first half of play. Banchero in the first half alone recorded 37 points, 6 assists, 7 rebounds, and shot an absolutely blistering 13 of 17 from the floor. He could not be stopped, and he would not be stopped. That 37 points that Banchero recorded in the first half of play tied Tracy McGrady for the franchise record for most points scored in a half by any Magic player in franchise history. Banchero was absolutely on one yesterday evening, and that first half of play was something sensational to watch. I don't think words can even describe what I was witnessing with my own 2 eyes, seeing what Paolo Banchero had done to that Indiana Pacers team in that first half of play. But when you take a look at the Magic in the second half, it still wasn't the best showing, even despite the win. Rick Carlisle and the Pacers made adjustments. They forced the Magic into more turnovers. They stepped up their physicality. They even gave Paolo Banchero a couple of different looks, putting Aaron Naismith on him, and they did a good job of rattling him. I don't know if Paolo had tired legs at that point of the game after a phenomenal 37-point first half, but Paolo struggled in that third quarter of play, as did the Magic. The Pacers outscored Orlando 39-21 in the third quarter of play after trailing 59-72 going into the halftime locker room. Paolo also scored just 4 points in the third quarter and was 0 of 6 from the floor after Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle had made those adjustments. They did a good job of getting back into the contest, but in the fourth quarter, when the Magic needed it the most, they needed their superstar to step up, and they needed to get this victory, to not fall back to 500. The Magic did just that. The home crowd stepped up. It was electric all evening. And Paolo Banchero scored the Magic's 8 out of their last 11 points. Of course, we had Anthony Black with that corner three with 33.3 seconds left in the game to take a 118-115 lead. It did not matter what the Pacers threw at Paolo Banchero, especially in that final stretch of play. 50 points, 13 rebounds, 9 assists, shot 16 of 26 from the field, 3 of 9 from deep, was able to get to the charity stripe and knock down 15 free throws. This was a man on a mission, a guy who was clearly head and shoulders the best player on the court, and is proving to not only to the Orlando Magic community, but to the NBA community once again, this is one of the best players in the game of basketball right now, and Orlando has a superstar. They have the next LeBron James prototype of player, a guy who's able to facilitate, get downhill, make winning plays, impact the game, and he's just 21 years of age. And it's a scary thought to know that this Orlando Magic team still has such a bright future, and Paolo Banchero still has so much more room for growth. Right after Victor Wembanyama, right? Because I think a lot of us can objectively say, just in terms of the ceiling at 7'6", 3-point shot, a guy who can get whatever he wants, whenever he wants. Wembanyama might have the best ceiling in the NBA. He's obviously nowhere near and polished and close to that. But Paolo Banchero is right after Victor Wembanyama. And this is one of the top 15 best players in the game of basketball right now. After Paolo was nearly a unanimous Rookie of the Year, followed that up with an All-Star season, he was poised to take an All-NBA leap this season, which he's clearly doing right now. He might mess around and be in the MVP conversations. Granted, we're 4 games in, but the NBA world should be scared knowing that Orlando not only has one of the best defenses in the game of basketball, they've got one of the best young coaches in the game of basketball. They've got a bona fide superstar that can take over any game at any moment, at any time, whenever he chooses to do so. And he's got a legitimate team around him. They've got the playoff experience. They've got the defense. They've got the culture. They've got the mindset. They've got the coaching. And they've got the bona fide superstar. Paolo Banchero, my goodness, I have no words. Now, I do want to briefly take a moment with you guys and read off a couple of quotes that I got from last night's game. Let's start off with Jamal Mosley. When I had the opportunity to ask Coach Mosley in the post-game press conference about Paolo Banchero, reiterating to not only the Orlando Magic community, but to the NBA world, is Paolo Banchero one of the best players in the game? Here's what Mosley said. It should. I think so. He's one of the best basketball players I've been around. I mean, the way he conducts himself, the way he pushes himself to be great, the way in which he makes other people around him great, because you gotta understand, a lot of those open shots are because he's drawing 2 or 3 defenders and he's making the right play. And so that's what great players do. They make those around them great, and they make our coaches look good too. Coach Mosley has done nothing but praise Paolo Banchero since day one. Paolo Banchero has done nothing but work his ass off to get to where he's at today, to lead this Orlando Magic team to where they're at today, and just know that they have not even scratched the surface as to how good they can be. Let me go ahead and read you one more quote. Now, this was Jalen Suggs on Paolo Banchero's 50-point performance. Let's take a listen to what Jalen Suggs had to say. When you get to see legendary things in person, it is actually so great to be around him every day and watch his work ethic, see how he's impacted this organization and our growth. It's so dope. When they have moments like this, it's beautiful, and you love to acknowledge it because they've earned it. What a beautiful night for him too, man. He played amazing out there and was a big catalyst in us getting that win. He's a dog. He didn't complain. He fought through it. He played good defense, especially at the end on Pascal Siakam. He got a couple of big stops, and he got some good contests on the shots that led to some stops that we needed. So yeah, big night for him. And let's actually talk about that briefly. Paolo Banchero was not only sensational on the offensive end, scoring those 50 points on 16 of 26 from the floor, that 13 rebounds, that 9 assists was the difference in the game. Him playing defense on Pascal Siakam towards the end of the game, down the stretch when he's tired and gassed, without his second best player in Franz Wagner, who didn't play in the second half of the game due to that illness, Paolo Banchero stepped up. This is truly one of the greatest players and best players in the game of basketball right now. And just know he hasn't scratched the surface on his potential. It is incredible to know that Orlando has not only had this electric fan base for an extended period of time, but the fact that we've been able to pack out the Kia Center and last year the Amway Arena night in and night out, compete with every single team in the league. We've got a fun team. We've got a young up-and-coming team. We've got a gritty team and a team that has a legitimate bona fide superstar that they can build around. Paolo Banchero, have a hell of a night, man. I don't think anybody else on this team deserves that kind of performance the way in which he did. And Orlando deserves every moment of this. Paolo deserves every moment of this. I could go on and just talk about how incredible it was watching that game in person, covering it, and being there and being a part of NBA history. Just know, ladies and gentlemen, Paolo Banchero is one of the greatest players and best players in the game of basketball right now. Magic fans, before I let you guys out of here, like I said, if you guys appreciate all of the work and coverage that I do surrounding the Orlando Magic, make sure you guys go ahead and drop me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe bell to stay tuned for more Magic content that I do here on YouTube, and make sure you guys also go ahead and follow me, Brett James, and Orlando Magic HQ on all of our socials. The link tree will be in the description down below so you guys can check that out. But Magic fans, thank you guys again for sticking around throughout the whole video. Brett James, aka BJ, I'm out, y'all. And like always, let's go Magic.